morning. Welcome to Western Illinois University's YPAS series. This is the WIU Percussion Ensemble, and this is Percussion Discussion. And it's originally composed by, believe it or not, a jazz banjo player by name of Bela Fleck. With it being what we call an arrangement, the arranger, David Steinquest, has changed things a little bit, used some different instruments. When you're looking at the four players and the instruments they're performing on, there are some slight differences. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as some of the mallets they're using. I'm also going to use this as an opportunity to introduce everyone individually. So if we're thinking high to low, we're going to start with our xylophone player. This is Jeff on xylophone. Jeff, wave to the audience. You'll notice that it's the smallest of all the instruments. It's also a very short sounding instrument. Can you just play a little bit? The mallets he's using, and Jeff, if you can raise, these are called mallets. It's a hard plastic. It's specifically intended to get that sound. Now, if I throw him a curveball and essentially what are two super balls inside of yarn, Jeff's mom's in the audience. This is her favorite. Nice and quiet. So obviously we have to think about the mallets that we're using. So I'm going to grab those mallets again. To Jeff's left is Lily. Lily, say hello. Lily is playing the vibraphone. What's special about the vibraphone? You'll notice the top are metal bars. And go ahead and play a little bit. Do not use the pedal, though. I just gave away a secret, but that's okay. The vibraphone, its name comes from the fact that they're little fans that essentially move the air and give it a vibrato sound. Unfortunately, we're not using that part of the instrument on this particular piece, but we do have a pedal, a dampener pedal, it lets us stop the sound if needed. So now play the same section, use the pedal, please. Excellent. Again, we have to decide what type of mallet we're going to use. Typically, when you think percussion, you think drumsticks. This is going to make us cringe, but we're going to prove that this is not what we're going to use. Lightly, please. Obviously, not the correct sound we're looking for. To Lily's left, we have Adam. Adam, say hello. And then to Adam's left is Angel. They are both playing marimbas, but you'll notice they're a little bit different. Adam, can you play me a chromatic scale starting from the top all the way down? All the way down. He's going to play every note. He's a professional. Angel, do the same thing, please. So the two marimbas we have out on stage, obviously we have some additional notes on Angel's instrument. And again, we have to think about mallets. I'm going to bring let's go with purple. Let's think Western today. So I'm going to hand these over to Angel so he can play a little bit of his part with these mallets. Little softer, lot rounder sound, but again, not what we need. Can we start the piece one more time so we get a reference of where we started? Something else you will also notice, if Lily and Adam can put their mallets up, and you will notice that there are more than one mallet per hand for some of the sections. Oh, I forgot Jeff as well. So this is part of what we do as percussionists, where we start to learn how do we extend the sound, how do we play additional notes. And that's a really nice example of what are some of the things we do. We're going to move to the next piece. And as we're progressing, feel free to think about some questions you can ask at the end. We have a lot of stuff, a lot of instruments, a lot of interesting and a variety of music. So we're switching over, believe it or not, you hear music tells stories. We're actually going to do a little percussion story time. So in the world of percussion, everyone has seen a snare drum, and in this particular piece entitled The Giant and the Pygmy, we're using two different types of drums. One is a typical snare drum, and Adam, can you play a little bit of the snare drum for me? Excellent. On the bottom of that instrument, there are wires. I can ask Adam to go ahead and turn them off and play the same thing. We can take a drum or have another drum which is slightly larger without snares. And Angel, can you play a little bit? So we have a high pitch and a low pitch drum. And then, of course, it is story time, so I'm going to take the microphone over to Lily. Did you want to hold the microphone or? Okay. Song and dance. Lily has been practicing day in, day out. We'd like to present The Giant and the Pygmy.
Giant is walking through the woods. Pygmy spies Giant and scampers to escape. Giant gives chase. Pygmy speeds up and registers fright. Giant increases speed, but due to excess weight and bulk, begins to tire. Giant breathes heavily and slows up. Pygmy begins to gain. Giant renews his effort, yet tiring, while Pygmy increases his lead. Giant takes longer strides, but fails to gain. effort with heavy strides. Final desperate attempt by Giant. Giant is beaten, and Pigby makes his escape.
Bravo. So again, we're playing snare drums. They're using drumsticks. I'm going to throw another curveball at them. We're switching to mallets. We're going to try that last section, starting at the Allegro Vivace. Vivace. Go ahead. Right on it, gentlemen. Appropriate for this piece? No, but it's not so obscure. So this particular piece, 1940, I think it's 1942, so it's been around for a while. Something slightly different with the narrator. In the realm of what we call rudimental drumming. In rudimental drumming, one of the elements is rolls. So if you switch back to sticks, please, or I'll take the mallets back. A drum roll. What is a drum roll? I think we've all heard drum rolls, but just for clarification, gentlemen, drum roll, please. This is our way to sustain the sound. How we get an instrument that is short and staccato, one note, stops. On a piano, you just keep your finger down. Doesn't work. So we have to play drum rolls, which is a combination of moving the sticks right to left and changing what we call the articulation. Can you just play one single hit? So that's a single hit. Now, if I ask Adam to buzz, go ahead, one buzz. So now that note is a little bit longer. And as we keep the hands moving and we connect the buzzes, we get the drum roll. Can you start really, really slow and then go fast? The man is a professional. So these are just some of the elements of snare drumming. Again, notice that I had them play with mallets just for a split second, which is not a normal thing. But we're going to transition into the last piece. So we'll go ahead and set up the rouse. I'm going to move to the other camera. As we're getting ready for this last percussion ensemble piece, the title of the piece is Kuka Ili Muku. The composer is Christopher Rouse. Basically, it's Hawaiian drumming, in which the composer has done a couple different things with different sounds, wood sounds, drum sounds. He's kind of expanded some of the drums, in which you notice there are some snare drums, there's some tom-toms, there's bass drums, and also I'd like to introduce Isaiah on timpani. Timpani are typically in the back of an orchestra. They will have as much of a harmonic and melodic element as a rhythmic element. In here, you'll notice that the timpani part is, I'll say, ferocious, nice and big, but there is a smattering of sounds, and I'm going to try to kind of point out some of the sounds that we have. Again, we'll start with Isaiah, where he's got 4 timpani. Just play some notes on the timpani so we can hear them. He also has some cymbals. We've seen cymbals before. And then on his left, he has a bass drum. And something you don't normally see with the timpani, what we call a log drum. And it's right in the center, right by his music stands. Play a little bit of the log drum, please. Kind of an interesting contrast. You have all this big thunderous sound and the log drum, which is a little bit on the calming side. Then we're going to move. Jeff is back. Welcome, Jeff. Jeff has a mixture of snare drums. Play a little bit on the 2 snare drums. There's another world element, Afro-Cuban instruments, where he's got bongos and congas. And a Chinese cymbal. You will notice that the edges of the cymbal are turned out and it has a very different sound. Go ahead. As opposed to the cymbals that Isaiah had. Play one of your cymbals just so we hear a contrast. Again, different sounds. Cowbell, right? And I think in Jeff's musical career, his proudest moment, he gets to play a wooden fish. Yes, we're all giggling and smiling because these are the joys of being a percussionist, the variety of stuff we get to strike. Okay, to Jeff's left, Angel's again here. Well, you haven't really left. He's a house guest that never leaves. So we have some tom-toms. Play some toms for me, please. And a bass drum. And you will notice this colorful mixture of instruments. Typically, they are wood blocks, but for this particular piece, because it gets so loud, and there's a potential that wood blocks would break, we've gone and used plastic versions of some wood blocks. Thank you, sir. And Lily also joins in on the wood block party. So how about a little bit of your wood blocks? She's also a part of the Afro-Cuban percussion instruments that Jeff has. She has bongos and some timbales. And I think Phil can get a nice. She has some homemade instruments, and one of my hopes is that at the end, all the students go away learning one particular name of an instrument, boo-bams. They were custom made just for Lily. So here's some boo-bams. Anything else, Lily? So we've got some gongs. Let's hear here's some gongs. Lily is available for wake-up calls at any time. And in this piece, if I remember correct me if I'm wrong, you will hear this one instrument once. Oh, yeah. Lily, go ahead. I don't know if that's as abrasive out in the online world as it is here, but trust me when I say that kind of hurts. So we're gonna move forward. This is Christopher Rouse's Kuka Ilimuku. Bravo. So that's all the music we have for you. What questions do we have? While we're waiting for questions, I'll go ahead and plug tonight's concert is back in this hall at 7:30 p.m. We are very grateful to have this opportunity to play for the YPAS. Thank you to the Performing Arts Society. We do appreciate this. Gives us more than one opportunity to show off all this work that we've done this semester. First question, at what age do students start playing percussion? I have to admit, anytime I find someone has a newborn baby, I'm happy to send them maracas. I think we should all start playing percussion as soon as possible. In the school systems, most of the time, they start playing percussion. I want to say sixth grade, some schools fifth. Does that mean a youngster has to wait to then? No. There's a lot of hand drumming tradition. In many cultures, you will find drumming starts as soon as they can go right, left. But in the formal school system, typically it's fifth or sixth grade. Oh, here they come. How many hours a day do you practice? There's practice, and then there's rehearsals. And as percussionists, playing a variety of instruments, there's a lot of instruments that are not included on the stage that we have to practice. What do we, for you guys, hour, 2 hours of practice, 3 or more hours of rehearsal time a day? And it may seem like a lot, but the importance of practice, it's cliche for someone to say it's a language, but it's true. And the more you play, just like this opportunity to play these pieces multiple times leading into a concert, the more comfortable you get, the better understanding of how everything works together. For me personally, if I was given the opportunity, I would have no problems practicing 8, 9, 10 hours a day and still going to rehearsal, but that's just me. I'm a little different in that way. Does anybody in the group play instruments that are not percussion? If so, what? Yes. Okay, let me see if I can pull this together, because I know Lily and Jeff do. Jeff's got some guitar background, right? Lily plays guitar, piano. Well, everyone in this group plays piano. That is part of their studies here. Angel or Isaiah, is there, besides percussion instruments? Choir. Voice is an instrument. Anything else? Mean spoons. Specifically the chromatic spoons, right? Okay, he's a specialist. How many instruments are in the percussion family? Okay, you're asking a drummer to count. So, there is no number. We can break things up from the keyboard percussion instruments, the pitched instruments, where we have bells, xylophone, vibraphone, marimba, chimes, crotales. Then if we step slightly away from specific pitched instruments into drums or membranophones, we've got timpani. Then we go with indefinite pitched instruments, meaning we don't tune to a specific pitch. There's a bazillion different types of snare drums and tom-toms and bass drums, world percussion instruments, and then we have all the accessories, the cymbals, the gongs. I'm out of breath, and the coffee may be wearing off, so that kind of gives you an idea. In every culture, you're going to find different instruments, which ends up in our kind of responsibility. We even have to do whistles. I don't think we have any whistles on this concert, but slide whistles and sirens, there's a lot. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight. How many practices does it take to be ready to perform? We have been rehearsing every week since, I want to say January 19th. It's probably not correct, but And each one of these pieces will get a weekly rehearsal for about 45 to 50 minutes. We are thankful in that with this semester, some of the rooms were kind of moved around for different ensembles, so we were able to, the Christopher Rouse Kuka Ilumuku was set up all the time. Otherwise, that 45-minute rehearsal would end up being 5 minutes because it takes that long to put together all these instruments. So each piece that we play, it's about once a week. When did these students start playing percussion? When did you start playing?
I didn't start till high school.
Lily started when she was high school. Angel? Fifth grade for Angel. Jeff?
Yeah, fifth grade, 2009.
Fifth grade.
I've always played percussion, but I started band in fifth grade.
Okay. So Isaiah started band in fifth grade. He had been playing percussion prior to that. Adam, when did you start playing? Adam's out in the audience.
Drum set, third grade.
Drum set when?
In
Third grade. He was rocking out on drum set, third grade. Why are there different colors of mallets? The colors don't necessarily connect with a specific hardness of mallets. Some of it is aesthetic. There are some mallets that we do keep track of what is a hard mallet, what is a soft mallet by the color. But it's not as much of a big deal. Sometimes we just like being colorful. What are your students' favorite instruments to play? Isaiah, favorite instrument? Snare drum for Isaiah. Jeff?
Drum set and also the fish.
Drum set and the fish. That is the one that did not get away.
I really like vibraphone right now.
Angel's vibraphone. Lily? Congas. Lily's been having some fun playing hand percussion. Adam? Drum set. How long did it take to set up? How long did it take to set up the instruments for today? Well, we actually set up last night. It's nice to set up, go get some sleep, and then come back to things set up. And unfortunately, there are situations where we do have to take everything down. When I'm programming the literature, along with my colleague, Dr. Rick Carraz, we try to discuss making the logistics a little bit easier. There are pieces that we could choose that have hand instruments, which we did one last semester, and it's a 5-minute setup. Or it could look like Godzilla unloaded a dump truck of instruments on the stage, and we have something like this. It varies. It varies. But when programming, I try to think about not having too much stuff because they're students. They do need their downtime, and also how things flow from piece to piece. We didn't move anything today, but tonight's concert we'll end up moving some of the instruments so the view is a little bit better because we'll have an audience. What are the mallets made out of? That's a great question. So mallets start out unwound, such as these, and this is just a medium hard rubber ball. And then if you see any of these particular mallets, again, these are for keyboard and sometimes used on drums. These are called wound mallets. They start with a core like this, or a super ball. And then these particular ones, it's a cord material. And then this is a yarn. And yes, yarn that you could go purchase at any retailer, and I have. But I don't know how close. I'm trying to get it. You'll notice that these are a little bit frayed, and that happens. Again, it's an unwound mallet shaft, mallet head, and then we end up wrapping them with either cord or yarn. Timpani mallets, the mallets that Isaiah is using, believe it or not, those are covered with pool table felt. So percussionists have always been tinkerers where we're trying to find a sound and we will look for some type of material that achieves that sound, whether it's a very articulate and cuts through things or something on the soft side that blends a little bit better. So it kind of evolves. And again, we have some different implements for different instruments. Did I get through all of them? I think I did. And it's 10:40, or is it later than that? So again, thank you to the Performing Arts Society giving us this opportunity. We had fun. I'm very proud of these students. This is something outside of their regular day, and they're taking the time to share everything they've worked on and accomplished. And a huge invitation to everyone back here in the College of Fine Arts and Communication Recital Hall, 7:30 tonight. You get to relive these 3 pieces, and we have 2 more surprises to add. So with that, there's one more question. What is the hardest instrument to learn? Every instrument kind of has its own idiosyncrasies. I think everyone's going to be a little bit different because you look at keyboard percussion and it's pitched, so you want to play the right note. You look at some of the drums, and you have to play in the right spot to get a specific sound. I would fear to say it's an individual question. Thank you again. We look forward to performing for you in the future. Have a great day.